Hi everyone, welcome to our week 2 summary. I hope everyone had a great weekend. I'm sorry for the slight delay in posting this. I was driving back I had a race in Virginia Beach this weekend, so I was driving back yesterday, so had a little delay in getting things posted. So I hope that our folks are enjoying the course. One thing that I'm going to encourage you to do, and I think I'd mentioned this in the intro or the announcement yesterday. Try and think outside of the box. Think outside of your own kind of personal box. Think outside of your comfort zone. Think outside of your especially when we're considering ethical issues. Think of yourself, sitting in the seat as a healthcare leader, because a lot of times, as a healthcare leader, you're going to have to make decisions on behalf of your organization, and maybe if you were sitting at home, at your kitchen table or your dining room table, you would make a decision a certain way for your family or for yourself, that would be very different than the decision that you are going to need to make as a healthcare leader. So I encourage you to really think, kind of take critically think outside of the box. Think of both sides of an issue as you're doing your written assignments, your discussions, all of these types of assignments throughout this class. And that is really kind of the purpose of this, to give you that opportunity. As you're reading your colleagues' discussion board posts, maybe take that opportunity to think of the other side of the issue. Maybe a colleague will post something and you can try to think of that other side. Or maybe a colleague posts something that is the opposite side of an issue that you're thinking of. So really take that opportunity to think kind of outside of your comfort zone on certain areas. I know that. And I know not everybody in class lives in the Western PA area, but there is a kind of a certain train of thought in this area that tends to be different than where I live in New York. So it's interesting that there is kind of thought groupings or trains of thought, and it's just that it's very common that an area tends to be very conservative or very liberal or very moderate, but that's our personal thought. When you are in a position of leadership, you need to kind of take that hat off and put on your leadership hat and then look at something in a different light. So that's why I encourage you to do that in our course, and it gives us a great opportunity to practice that and to really think, okay, if I was the leader of an organization, how might I address these types of issues? So really important opportunity to do that. And this week in our discussion board, we're going to kind of dig into some of those, really somewhat gut-wrenching ethical issues that are out there, self-determination, those types of things. So really gut-wrenching things that leaders do need to deal with in healthcare organizations. So, but I do want to talk about a couple of the quiz questions. Because as the leader of this class, I did a horrible job on a couple of the quiz questions. I meant to pull them out and did not get to do that. So two of the quiz questions I will give you credit for because they were the answers are accurate, but they're difficult to find in the melange of reading that you had for this week. So the first question is, medical malpractice cases account for the majority of tort litigation in the United States. This was a true or false question. That's actually false. As you look at, and you can see in your textbook, there's just a multitude of different types of tort litigation. And as you might guess, product liability is probably one of the highest number of cases of tort litigation. Just think about how many product liability cases there are out there. But so that does really account for more than med mal, but that's kind of buried in a lot of that reading that you had. So I will give you credit for that this week. Also, The other one I'll give you credit for. The plaintiff in a tort suit can seek compensation of the following two types. And again, I don't. This was a confusing question. So the correct answer in this case, and majority of people got it right, but it still was kind of confusing. So I do want to give credit. So the correct answer was compensatory damages and non-economic costs. And what that means is, so you can get credit in a tort suit. You can get credit for two things. You can get credit for your compensatory damages. So if you were injured in a tort suit, let's say in a medical malpractice case, I was injured. Physician did something, maybe performed surgery on me, and left a scalpel inside of me, and then it caused horrible injury to me. So secondary to that, I had to have 3 additional surgeries, had a bunch of problems related to that. So all of the cost for all of that additional surgery, hospitalization, all those medical costs, those would be damages, compensatory damages. All of that cost would be covered by that first piece, compensatory damages. The monetary cost that was incurred by me due to their negligence. But the second piece of that, non-economic costs, that is the pain and suffering, all of those things that are non-economic, but are turned into dollars by the court in some way. And that is what, that non-economic cost, that is what we're looking to, or is looking to be limited through tort reform, because you may get all of your compensatory damages paid for, but get millions of dollars in non-economic costs under pain and suffering. And that's where it seems that in some cases, those types of things are getting out of control and costing the malpractice system a lot of money, and therefore this causing premiums to rise, etc. Now, we saw in our video, hopefully you watched the video, that even in some states where there has been tort reform and the costs to the malpractice system have gone down, the premiums have stayed constant. So they have not decreased the premiums. And so that's interesting in itself, that they have not seen the decrease in premiums. So in other words, the insurance companies are still somewhat taking advantage of that decrease in premiums. Therefore, the ultimate impact is not occurring. It's an interesting problem there. So who's to say what exactly would happen if we did see national tort reform as is being proposed? But we'll have to see there. One last question I wanted to talk about. This one is not one that everyone gets credit for, but I did want to talk about it. Only a small percentage of people classified as a victim of medical errors sue. And this one was also mentioned in the video. It was talked about in the text. It was talked about in one of the other readings, I think. But the answer to this is true. And it is true that it's interesting that we talk about tort reform because of the huge settlements. But those huge settlements are really due to a small number of people. It's really not, you think about sadly, the number of medical errors that occur, there are many, but it's really a small percentage of those errors that actually result in a lawsuit. There are many folks that have issues in a facility. There are many folks that have issues with physician practices or physicians or providers where either nothing is reported, or if it is reported, it's managed internally, and it does not result in a lawsuit. So really important to keep in mind that only a really small percentage of folks that have issues that would be considered a medical error actually do sue, but it's that there is such an inflated amount that comes out of some of these that is pushing toward that tort reform and has inflated the medical malpractice industry, the amounts to such ridiculous high amounts that that's why we're looking at this change moving forward. So the answer to that one, small percentage of people classified as victims of medical errors, are they suing? Yes, that's true. So that's the end of our quiz information for this week. If you have any questions on any of those items, please let me know, or anything else that we've covered. And I look forward to working with everyone this week. Thanks so much.